Katrina Pierson joins me now. She's the national spokesperson for the Trump campaign. Katrina, great to see you today on this primary day in New Hampshire.
Hi, Contessa.
That message for Donald Trump, let me just ask you, is he worried about a repeat of Iowa?
No, not at all. I think what we're seeing here is Mr. Trump not taking anything for granted. He did not have the resources in Iowa that he does have in New Hampshire, and so he just really wants voters to know that he appreciates them and that he's excited to be here. He has been very high in the polls since he entered the race in this state. This is the live free or die state, which is perfectly suited for Mr. Trump.
We are looking at how the poll results or how the caucus results came out in Iowa. In New Hampshire, the tiny town of Dixville Notch started voting at midnight, the first to vote, all of 12 people. But the result there was that John Kasich came out the big winner, 3-2 over Donald Trump. Is that an indicator for what might happen in the rest of the state?
No, not at all. I mean, this was an area where John Kasich has been. Of course, we all know that Mr. Kasich has practically lived here for the last month or so and had 100 events. A lot of times people will vote for the person that came out to see them. We have heard in some of these areas where not all of the candidates were able to come, and I think we're going to see a reflection of that. But for the most part, New Hampshire is very different than Iowa and any other state for that matter. They're very independent. They're very interested on someone that could solve problems in the economy. And even with the border, because that's a really big indicator of how we can control some of the drugs that come across the border, which is very important in the state of New Hampshire. And Donald Trump is that candidate.
Politico has a big headline today, an article about the campaign wondering what its candidate is doing because it's losing endorsements, that campaign events have had to be canceled, that halls have not been filled to capacity the way we've seen at past events, because Donald Trump is not listening to his campaign advisors. In your experience, is that the case?
No, not at all. I mean, the only event that was moved, it wasn't canceled, it was rescheduled because there was 10 inches of snow on the ground and the plane couldn't get in. Other than that, just last night, there was also an event with 5,000 people. So I haven't seen any changes in that at all, Contessa.
All right, and let me just ask you, how are campaign staffers reacting? What kind of advice are you giving Donald Trump, given his language? And today I heard a lot of moms in the newsroom, Katrina, who were raising their eyebrows at his use of the P word as a name to call Ted Cruz.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's a pussy. That's terrible. Terrible.
Yes, you're referring to a statement that he repeated at an event last night from a fan. And what I say to that is Mr. Trump, it's no news that he's not politically correct. He just repeated what a supporter said last night. And he does push the envelope when it comes to speech. I mean, the First Amendment has been under attack in this country for a very long time. When we have people like Nancy Pelosi who are calling Republican grassroots people arsonists and Nazis, and we have the president equating Christians to terrorists, it's refreshing to have a Republican candidate that's not afraid to say what he thinks and feels.
I don't know, though, but do you think that if he wins the Oval Office, there are going to be moms who say, oh, kids, you got to leave the room now. The president's about to be on TV. We don't know what he's going to say.
No, not at all. That's completely different. When Mr. Trump is at these rallies, and I think everyone can agree, Mr. Trump at the debate is a little bit more serious and reserved, whereas in these rallies, this is more of an event. This is Mr. Trump with his supporters. He loves them, they love him, and as you can see after that statement, the crowd went wild. Mr. Trump treats his supporters just like he would his friends, and he talks to them accordingly.
Katrina, how much is riding on a win in New Hampshire tonight?
Well, I think a lot. Mr. Trump really wants to win New Hampshire. Is it a must? Absolutely not. But I do think a win is a win. We do hear a lot of the media saying that he has to win big or it's over, and that's simply not the case. A win is going to be a win for this campaign. We're very excited to have a first-time presidential candidate doing so well in the primary.
Well, there you're seeing the very last poll that was done before the primary. Donald Trump getting 31% of the support in this poll, a significant lead over Marco Rubio coming in second. And it looks like everybody vying for that second place spot in New Hampshire. Katrina, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much.